Here's another rant today for you, douchebag Governor Cuomo. This one's for you. I had my 3-month post-COVID visit today. You scumbag, okay? That's what you are. You're a scumbag. Because you wouldn't let me take the hydroxychloroquine when my doctor called it in. So I ended up in the hospital with double pneumonia. Well, guess what? When I had went into the office and I had my mask on that you make us wear, my oxygen level was 93. 93. My doctor says, Tina, take your mask off. Sit here for 5 minutes. Sat there for 5 minutes and went up to 99. I have antibodies. I am not following or complying with your fucking executive order because it's all about control. That's all you want to do. So next time that I'm forced to wear a mask and my oxygen drops and I have an asthma attack, I'm gonna fucking sue you, Governor Cuomo. You hear me? Fuck out of here.
Fellow digital soldiers to True Reporting. It is the 18th of June, and on today's podcast, we will be discussing many topics today, including John Roberts, the Supreme Court Justice who blocked President Trump from ending DACA. We'll also be discussing big tech and how they are continuing their censorship on conservatives. And finally, my friends, I have a thread breaking down the illusion that the left carry. It's all that they have left. So, my friends, again, it is always an honor to be on the front lines with each and every one of you, because where we go one, we go all. Guys, have you ever thought about investing in Bitcoin? Well, Noble Gold did. They were paying close attention, as always. They are one of a handful of companies in the U.S. who do crypto IRAs. Yeah, you heard that right. They can put your crypto into an IRA or 401k plan. Noble Gold has also slashed their own fees on Bitcoin IRA and 401k deals, along with a waiver of their first year's fee. That's right, a waiver of their first year's fee for anyone putting in over $20,000. That's a savings of over $400 on custodial and setup fees. Plus, you're going to get a tax break. That's free money from the IRS. Call them at 877-646-5347 and tell them that True Reporting sent you. Learn how you can grow your IRA with Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. The link is in the description box below. Thanks, guys, and enjoy the podcast. All right, guys, it's good to have you aboard. Before we hop into today's podcast, would you please go ahead and subscribe to my backup channel, True Reporting 2.0. Also, please go ahead and click that notification bell so when I upload a podcast or go live to this channel, you'll be the first to know by getting the alert. And finally, guys, would you please be kind enough as to click the like button? The more likes that this video receives, the more times it is recommended to other viewers, thus more eyes on the truth. And with that being said, my friends, let's go ahead and hop into it. This is True Reporting. So, coming at us from Breitbart, we can see here that the Supreme Court blocks Trump from ending DACA. 5-4, Roberts joins the liberals as usual. The Supreme Court ruled 5-4 on Thursday, today, that President Donald Trump could not end the Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals program, at least not the way that his administration had done it. DACA was a program created by President Barack Obama in 2012 after Congress refused to pass Democrats' version of amnesty for so-called, in quote, this is laughable, dreamers. Illegal aliens brought to this country as minors when Senator Marco Rubio from Florida proposed a Republican version of the proposal, and amnesty advocates seemed inclined to support it. Obama imposed his own policy by fiat. Conservatives have long believed that DACA was unconstitutional because it circumvented the legislature and applied the administration's power of prosecutorial discretion to an absurdly large number of potential defendants. 2 million of these people, guys. In 2017, then Attorney General Jeff Sessions declared DACA was unconstitutional. Remember, always trust Sessions, representing an unconstitutional exercise of authority by the executive branch. President Trump rescinded DACA, but gave Congress 6 months to find a compromise to protect and quote the dreamers from deportation, and proposed his own ideas in his State of the Union address in 2018. But Democrats refused his suggestion because they are the votes. The dreamers, the illegals, those are the votes. In a complex 5-4 opinion, in which Chief Justice John Roberts, the shill, the cuck, joined the court's 4 liberal justices, the majority held that the administration had failed to offer sufficient reasons for rescinding the policy and had failed to provide enough consideration about what would happen to the 700,000 people who had registered for the DACA program. The dispute, in quote, he says, before the court is not whether DHS may rescind DACA. All parties agree that it may. The dispute is instead primarily about the procedure the agency followed in doing so. The opinion by Justice Roberts was declared. The partial dissent written by Justice Clarence Thomas argues that the fact that DACA was unconstitutional and unlawful from the outset should preclude any ruling by the court on the question of whether it was rescinded properly. Guys, if you don't know much about who John Roberts is, he plays like he's one of us, and he's not. He has handlers, he's completely manipulated, and he votes for them every single time. I want to show you this real quick. You guys all remember old Epstein, right? And how he had a flight log on the Lolita Express? Well, it turns out that John Roberts is on that flight log. Very interesting. He's been blackmailed. They have him by the cojones. This is the reason that he goes left and doesn't stay with the Constitution. The president, in some way, shape, or form, has got to build up the Supreme Court with people who abide by the Constitution. This man cannot be trusted, and he needs to get out of there as soon as possible. Speaking on DACA, I will show you this. The DACA decision, while a highly political one, this is a tweet from the president, and seemingly not based on the law, gives the president, get this guys, of the United States far more power than ever, in capitalized letters, anticipated. Nevertheless, I will only act in the best interest of the United States of America, which he has upheld this entire time. So speaking on giving the president even more power, I wanted to show you this from Mike Cernovich. I know a lot of us may not trust this man, and I would like to see what your comments are about this in the comment section below. Get this. Under today's DACA ruling, Trump can issue an executive order granting Americans amnesty from paying taxes. This ruling is a blank check. Never seen anything like this before. The unitary executive theory is back, and it's on steroids. So from what I understand, with the rejection of DACA, this actually is a way for the president to combine executive orders. It's very intricate, and I would like to know more about it. If you guys know more about this, please comment in the comment section below. I would greatly appreciate it, because this is extremely interesting. If they're willing to do away with taxes, we all know that this was coming eventually. Could it be coming even quicker? So speaking more on Supreme Court justices, President Trump to release new list of conservative Supreme Court nominees. This is coming from Bongino.com. Following the disappointing ruling on DACA today and the Supreme Court's refusal to hear cases that gun groups say violate the Second Amendment this week, President Trump says he'll be releasing a new list of conservative court nominees. He says here, I will be releasing a new list of conservative Supreme Court justice nominees, which may include some or many of those already on the list by September 1st, 2020, not far away at all. If given the opportunity, I will only choose from this list, as in the past, a conservative Supreme Court justice based on decisions being rendered now. This list is more important than ever before. Second Amendments, right to life, religious liberty, etc. Vote 2020. This came immediately after he fired back at the Supreme Court over a handful of decisions. Do you get the impression that the Supreme Court does not like me? The recent Supreme Court decisions, not only on DACA, sanctuary cities, and the census, and others, tell you only one thing. we need new justices of the Supreme Court. If the radical left Democrats assume power, your Second Amendment, right to life, secure borders, and religious liberties, among many other things, are over and they are gone. The DACA decision, while a highly political one and seemingly not based on the law, gives the President of the United States far more power than ever anticipated. Nevertheless, he will only act in the best interest of the United States of America. As President of the United States, he continues, I am asking for a legal solution on DACA, not a political one, consistent with the rule of law. The Supreme Court is not willing to give us one, so now we have to start this process all over again. Bongino continues on, President Trump has had an enormous success in reshaping the nation's court, and it's an aspect of his legacy. It will take the left decades to reverse this. 1 in 5 federal judges currently serving has been appointed by Trump. In the circuit courts specifically, 1 in 4 judges have been appointed by Trump. When Trump took office, 9 of the nation's 13 circuit courts were dominated by Democrat appointees. That's since shifted to a Republican majority on 7 of them, which at this pace will presumably increase. And that is very, very good news for people who are trying to seek justice in America. Coming at us from David J. Harris Jr., switching gears a little bit. This is absolutely hilarious when it comes back to bite you in the butt, my friends. Mayor in Washington State says the BLM riots are domestic terrorism. Well, why is she saying that, right? Because they vandalized her home. When it happens to them, it's not so fun, is it? A Washington State mayor was pretty much okay with BLM protests that began after George Floyd's death while in police custody in Minneapolis. But that only lasted until BLM vandals damaged her own house. According to reports, now Mayor Cheryl Shelby of Olympia refers to the protest as, in quote, domestic terrorism, says the Olympian. Finally came around, right, lady, when it happened to you? I'm really trying to process this, she says. Shelby told the newspaper on Saturday after rioters' Friday night spree left her front door and porch covered with spray-painted messages. It's like domestic terrorism. It's unfair. Welcome to the party, pal, said John McClain. It hurts when you're giving so much to your community, she added. You're giving them riots and protesters, and people are having to shut down their businesses. This is what you're giving them. No one likes it. No one agrees with you. And when it happens to you, that's when you start to complain. The mayor and her family were not home at the time, so they weren't in peril, the report said. But neighbors placed a call to the mayor to let her know about the damage to her house. Earlier this month, Selby issued a press release saying Olympia would not impose a curfew on protesters demonstrating against Floyd's death. Now look how that went. Let me be clear, the city of Olympia supports the peaceful protests that highlight the racial injustices black people continue to endure at the hands of the police in the United States. You have to remember, my friends, that President Trump says this is a very weak mayor. He also says that about de Blasio. He says this about Cuomo. He says this about the leaders in Chicago and Los Angeles and California. It's everywhere. Vote them out or continue to live in fear. Half the problem isn't the police. It's progressive politicians who have created really awful policies for their jurisdictions that have led to problems in black communities everywhere they are tried. Problems like high unemployment, high murder rates, high drug and alcohol abuse, high rape, burglary, and assault crime rates. Progressive policies by Democrats have controlled large cities across America for decades, some 100 years. All of these have the same problems. It's not the police who cause all these problems. It's the progressive Democrat policies that breed crime, destruction, and darkness for their residents. Selby was listed in the Fuse Progressive Voters Guide of 2019. Olympia, she said, was not without sin in this matter. Oh, really? We are the predominantly white community next to the communities that are far more diverse, Selby told the Olympian. That tells us that we are not. We have not been as welcoming and nurturing to communities of color as we'd like to think. The light switched on in America by Mr. Floyd's murder, shining glaringly on Olympia as well. Wait a minute. This dingbat mayor is saying that her city has to nurture communities outside the city? Who elected her to do that? Democrats are now in the blame game, where after blaming everything that happened to Donald Trump, they act like they're reflecting on past problems within their own jurisdictions for people of color. But they always make it seem like it's their fault. But it's not, because of something they did. but because they didn't take enough action to stop the ongoings in the community. That's total rubbish. What's going on in bad communities is decades of really bad policies, like letting peaceful protests turning to looting and riots, but continuing to refer to them as peaceful protests. When you allow bad behavior to go on, you're going to get more bad behavior, and when left alone long enough, it's going to escalate. But the politicians, in quote, feel good about themselves for placating violent people at the expense of the rest of their communities. One other BLM supporter, ESPN writer Chris Martin Palmer, who commented, "Burn it all down," when retweeting a photo of Minneapolis' building in flames in late May, had a unique response when riders came to his house. The Sporting News reported, "Get these animals the F out of my neighborhood," Palmer wrote. "Go back to where you live." And we all know that they're busting. We all know that they're paid for. We all know that they're in real time receiving automatic weapons to create autonomous zones that are having borders and underage people holding weapons with full clips. It's becoming very dangerous out there, and it will continue to stay dangerous if you do not vote these people out of your cities. So guys, coming at us from Tucker Carlson, big tech monopolies have now surpassed the federal government as the chief threat to our liberty. Tuesday, Fox News Channel's Tucker Carlson opened his primetime cable news show with a warning about the threats so-called big tech poses to American liberty, particularly as a chilling effect has been sent through those that typically engage in political discourse due to Black Lives Matter. Carlson mentioned that his show was the highest rated program on all of cable TV a night earlier, which he explained showed many Americans were not happy with what was underway in the United States right now. However, he said big tech was using its power to eliminate opposition to the prevailing conventional wisdom about what was underway in American politics. It's getting dangerous out there, guys. That's why I cannot reiterate enough to please subscribe to True Reporting 2.0. It's literally 2 clicks on YouTube, just in case anything happens to this channel. It's already been demonetized. I don't want to be deplatformed. So the best thing that you can do is subscribe to True Reporting 2.0. Coming at us, continuing on with this, breaking 911. Facebook is starting to delete ads from President Trump's re-election campaign for, in quote, violating policy against organized hate. They are silencing us more and more day by day. This is nothing more than Marxism. This is nothing more than Nazism. They do not want our voices heard. They want to control us. And these companies have got to be regulated. And Q has told us that that day is coming soon. Because what we see here from Breitbart, that the DOJ is to propose rolling back big tech's legal immunity. They're going to free them up to get sued. The Department of Justice is preparing proposals to roll back the legal immunities enjoyed by big tech companies under Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act, CDA. In measures that will be announced as early as Wednesday, sources told the Wall Street Journal. Section 230 gives big tech companies immunity from lawsuits arising from user-generated content. If a person is defamed on Google, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or other big tech platforms like Reddit, those platforms are not legally liable for the content like a traditional publisher might be. This allows social media platforms to host billions of posts from users without potentially crippling legal risk. They're lifting that. They're going to get rid of it with the Section 230. You're going to be able to sue these people for silencing you, from shutting you down. This is America. We have a freedom of speech. It's the First Amendment, and they don't like it. As big tech platforms have grown increasingly interested in censoring content posted by their users, however, many lawmakers have argued that they are behaving like traditional publishers, censoring and editing and approving their users' posts. As such, a growing number of lawmakers have argued that the legal immunities of Section 230 should be contingent on platforms maintaining a hands-off approach to the speech of their users. It's our speech. It's free speech. You can't censor us any longer, and the time is coming. The DOJ is about to act. So, my friends, if you feel as though you were being censored, I think it's time to lawyer up. Finally, guys, I want to leave you with this. If all you watch is social media and your understanding of the world comes only through what you see on your TV set, You are panicking right now in week 2 of a 20-week epic gaslighting project the left is immersing this country in the lead up to the November election, and that's all that this is. This is such a fantastic thread. Please follow @DrawAndStrike. They not only are not going to convert enough people into joining their stupid 1984 style cult with this transparently fake gaslighting, they are going to massively piss off the rest of us. Find me one black person who isn't a radical activist cashing in on Black Lives Matter, who will say, in quote, "I feel so much better and my life and my children's lives are improved because PepsiCo got rid of Aunt Jemima." Remember, they not only have to gaslight about America's systemic racism, they have to gaslight about these: Trump's popularity, Biden's mental state, the economy, the markets, the jobs, CCP virus lockdowns, and drugs. It's too much. They can't do it. They're going to fail. They're going to end up frantically babbling the most absurd lies even before November gets here. Biden's fine, damn it. That didn't mean anything. That's a fake jobs report. Biden's rally sizes mean nothing. Nothing. And we saw, if you were on Twitter, you could see that he had a get-together, is what I would call it, of about 11 people. It was embarrassing. The polls are lying. Gallup polls are lying. We know that we are not the minority, that we are actually the majority. Get it right. Trump's about to have a rally where 1 million people wanted to attend it. Trump's been setting primary voting records, running unopposed. Meanwhile, Biden came out for a speech in what looked like a high school gym yesterday. Very low energy. You're about to see a presidential campaign unlike any other in this nation's history. One candidate wandering around the stage in a small venue, babbling and lost while his staff is cut short. The other having rallies so massive that thousands cannot get in. Illusions, my friends, are all these people have left. And illusions have no power over you unless you grant them power. So don't do it, okay? Hold fast. He who endures it to the end shall be saved. My friends, we all know that they don't stand a chance come November. We know it plain and simple. My friends, if you enjoyed this podcast and you found it informative, please subscribe to this channel. You can follow me on Twitter @TRUreporting, and don't forget to leave a like. Remember, it's always my honor to represent you on this channel, on the front lines, because where we go one, we go all. Guys, if you found what you just watched informative and you enjoyed it, then please subscribe to the True Reporting family today. There are many ways to support this channel, like our Patreon link, our PayPal link, and our TRUreporting.us official website link in the description box below. Join the True Reporting family today and be a part of history, because where we go one, we go all.